Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the WE Knives and Tashi Barucha Krait Snake. Very, very designy, very Tashi Barucha. I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir. Yeah, his designs, it's not always immediately apparent that it's him, but like in this case, he has a certain design aesthetic where I go, that's definitely him. Sometimes it's not immediately apparent, and then you go, oh, that makes total sense. And that's exactly what's going on here. Very, very designy, and also very pricey because it's a WE knife. It is available. I will link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those things, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Thanks to WE Knives for sending it in. Make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and measure this knife. I bet this is full size. Yeah, 8 inches blade length, 3.5 cutting edge, about 3. Nice choke up position there. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. So up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. Not quite as big, but those are big knives. This is still within full-size territory. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. It's closer to the size of the PM2 and has identical. Actually, you know what's funny? I mean, get rid of all the crazy curvatures in the knife and look at how similar the ergonomic lines are to the PM2, right? It is. It's just like it has this back end is all wackadoo, and it makes it look completely different. But yeah, fairly similar there in terms of ergonomic lines. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deck. If you're seeing red reflections today, it's because I'm wearing my Chiefs shirt. Chiefs, go Chiefs! Sorry if you don't like the Chiefs. I do. Pretty excited. But anyways, unsubscribe. Let's go ahead and talk about the action on this knife. How is it? It's good. It feels like a WE knife. Doesn't feel like Magic Sauce WE knives. It feels like a WE knife. Everything is just great. Access to the lock bar is good. This is a steel lock bar. It's not a titanium lock bar. We'll come back to that. But the flipper tab does catch your finger. It's a little... I'm kind of catching another part of the knife. You have to position your finger just right so that you give the blade enough time for the detent ball to get up on the face of the blade, but not so far back that you miss the flipper tab completely and then have the knife come down like this. Either way, it's pretty good. There's no double clutch or anything like that. The flipper tab is the only means of deployment. I think it's positioned pretty well. I would, do it more light switch. Like you can push button it. It's a little pointy, but doing the light switch is, that's probably going to be the most comfortable way to do it. It's got good action. Pivot action, bearing action is good. There's no lumps or bumps or anything like that, but it doesn't feel quite like, when WE turns on the sauce. I don't know what it is that they do when they do that, but this is fine. It's good, right? Let's do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. Is about the same with some contouring, which is nice. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This guy is kind of an awkward shape, but it's not a lot to carry in your pocket. Maybe not something you'd want to throw in like fitted dress pants, but for regular pants, it's fine. And then it's going to be a little bit heavier than you would describe a regular pocket knife, just because it is a full titanium construction, but it is milled out for weight reduction. So probably maybe low 4s, mid 4s. Yeah, 3.9, actually less than I thought it was going to be. It's kind of like middle of the road, honestly, for a full-size knife, so not bad. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Where are you there, TA? No show side hardware. That is really, really cool. At first, I thought it was an integral. It's not. It's just sort of comes together to seam, and they still put a backspacer in. It's sort of like... It's almost like a long pill of lightning anno titanium. It's not Timascus, but it's cool. Well, and we'll talk more about that as well. These screws are T8, which is good. I like that, T8 for the pivot there, but I really love that it's just 2 body screws on the other side, and then they thread in the titanium so you don't see it. They have 1 hidden screw for the pocket clip. Very simple construction. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. And last up, before we get into the good old meat and potatoes here, we're going to measure the blade stock thickness, which is thicker than I would have guessed, 155 thousandths. Okay, meat and potatoes. It's pretty comfortable, honestly. I mean, it's surprising. There are definitely knives that are much more ergonomic. It just, you look at this and you're like, that's going to feel weird. And then you pick it up and you go, oh, that's pretty good, you know? It's a very subtle transition from the obvious choke up spot to the cutting edge. I'll let you look at that plunge grind there. But yeah, it's pretty like, I mean, pay attention for sure. You don't want to run your finger up on that edge. The blade has almost like a beak tip. And I imagine that was intentional. Getting into packages and things like that with a blade shape like this is very, very satisfying. Or doing like your draw cuts, right? Because that tip it's like very right at the end. And it is useful. As you sharpen this, unless you like go out of your way to somehow maintain that, I mean, I personally don't even know how. I think you're just going to end up with like a regular tip. I think that slowly it won't even really take that much. As you remove material, you just sort of lose that. But that was something I noticed while I was carrying and using this very casually. You guys know I'm more of a design reviewer than anything else. I don't do a ton of testing. I carry these knives and use them exactly how I would in real life, which is casually. That's something I was like, oh, that's nice. You know, doing the draw cuts there. Felt really good. Cut out some shipping labels because I'm very anti-scissor in this house. unless I'm, you know, I suppose like food scissors, you know, sometimes that is a little easier than using a knife. But when it comes to like, you know, opening a package, I'll watch members of my family try to use scissors and I'm just like, it just is so irritating. It's just awful. But cutting out some shipping labels while I was shipping knives back to people or shipping them prizes. I was like, oh, that's very nice. The edge is pretty thin, honestly. It's thinner than you would expect for 155 thousandths. It is beautiful to look at. We have a hand rub satin finish on this guy. Nearly fully flat ground with a little swedge up here. There's a lot going on, but it won't be an aesthetic that's good for everybody. And, you know, truthfully, I can appreciate this, and this is a knife that has more effort in it than what we typically see in the knife world. It's not an aesthetic that in particular, it's like, I would go for this. But at the same time, you have to appreciate Tashi's ability to allow the blade and the frame to flow together. It's a complete look. It's not like he designed the frame and was like, okay, I guess now put a blade on it. He's drop point, you know, Warncliffe. No, the whole thing was done together. I think that's the mark of a good designer, is somebody who can do that and do it consistently. The most interesting part of the knife, this is a little bland. I really wish that we had some like some of the itty bitty little, it's not even diamond texture, like I think Grimsmo calls it crosshatch. God, I wish we could get more of that little teeny tiny little micro milling on the, I just love that, or an orange peel or something. This is just plain. And it's not my favorite thing in the world. I kind of feel like it's missing. This knife looks like there was supposed to be more here, and I feel like there should have been. But this area back here is interesting. I like the seam construction. I like how they have fitted this piece of material in. You can actually see it right there. They fitted it in so that it does still have a backspacer. Now, how it connects, I honestly think that it's just slotted in there. I think if you took this apart, you could pull this piece out, and then the construction of the frame is actually what's holding this in, unless, and actually now I'm going to correct myself, these screws probably go right through the material, because you can see that the screw is here, like here's my finger, and we're meeting towards the end of that inlay. Same thing with back here. The screw is right here, and it looks like it goes through that tab on the lightning anode, so that it's being held in that way. But you can still take it out, definitely. It's just neat. I like how it looks. It doesn't add any utility to the knife. It's just cool, right? And that's at this tier, absolutely, that's what we're expecting to see. Speaking of things that I was expecting to see that we're not seeing, I love the nested liner lock, but for how much you guys want, even though this doesn't add anything, it's just something that makes the buyer feel better. It feels a little more special because you kind of have to go out of your way. You guys just gave us a regular steel nested liner lock. Make it titanium and put a steel lock bar insert in there. Like, just do it. That's one of those things where people go, cool, just It doesn't really add anything. And there's a ton of stuff on knives like this that don't really add anything. It's just kind of neat that you do it. That's one of those things. I don't really want to see, the steel liner locks at this price point. Right now, if you had done a different locking system, some sort of wild and crazy thing, you did some kind of compression lock, or you did some kind of springy back flippy loaded whatever, or something different, then okay, because it's obviously that's a little bit more complicated, but it's just a regular steel liner lock. Like, come on, just give us, I know you guys can do it. I've seen you guys do it on many models. Titanium liner lock, put the steel lock bar insert in there. We have a plain milled titanium clip. It's fine. It's a little bit pointy. Honestly, it doesn't really bother me ergonomically, right? But when you go to pull the knife from your pocket, if you catch it under here, the little pokey, no big deal. Very smooth. In and out of the pocket is fine. It's a little pinchy. It's a little bit of a stiff clip, but it's fine. This is lightning ano, not titanium Damascus. It's just titanium that's been anodized in a certain way to give it a cool surface finish. It's not actually layered titanium, but it's fine. We have stop pins that are located internally. They're attached to the blade there, so it's fine. Contact on both sides. No blade play up, down, left to right. No lock stick, no pivot lash. Consistent. I think it'll get smoother over time. Nice detent, and it is absolutely perfectly centered. Look at that, right on the seam. It's a nice knife. How much do they want for it? $344. No, that's too high. I feel like everything from WE right now is sitting at about 40 to 75 high. I think that this knife does bring some elements to this. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about the blade steel. It's M390. I mean, at this point, like almost everything that they release is M390, 59 to 61. Okay. You got M390, you got titanium. It's a full-size knife. It's contoured. You have a really interesting backspacer situation. You do have a milled clip, right? You got all of that. And it's pretty designy. Like, this isn't something that would be easy to just cut out with a machine or like cost efficient. Like, this is going to cost a little bit more. It's going to take a little more time to do something like this. There's a little bit extra effort here. So I'm not going to sit here and say this knife should cost $200. No. You want to do a real flat, basic, rectangular handle shape with cutouts for your fingers, and you want to do a simple drop point blade and do pretty much nothing else, and you give me a couple of standoffs and maybe even a stamped out clip, S90V in titanium, M390 titanium, yeah, that's maybe a $200 knife, right? Sometimes a little less, depending on the company. This is a little bit higher effort, so I'm not saying it should be pulled back that far, but I'm thinking like $290, $300 max. I think a lot of people would say $275. I don't know. There's two parties involved here. It's Tashi and WE, and neither of them are charities, but I'm sure they're both concerned with, delivering a good product to their customer base. So you have two different parties that need to profit from this. So you got to make a little room for that. And then everything else here, put together, that's how I'm coming to the conclusion. Yeah. Maybe it was a one party knife. If we did this internally, then okay, then sure. Then maybe you can, start to consider like a $275 price tag. But with Tashi being involved, like with the designer being involved, there still has to be a little bit more there. So you have to acknowledge that and make room for it when they do these collabs. The knife would not be able to exist in massive quantities without WE being the OEM. So, for people saying, well, if it has to charge it, then it's just not do it. Okay, so then they just don't do it, and then very few people ever get it because it has to be a Tashi custom, which are extremely expensive. Anyways, $344 just seems like just because, I say $300 max. I feel like it's about $44 overpriced, which I guess isn't the end of the world, but it's just like, man, like for $344, there are a lot of Krait knives. I mean, I could do probably top 50 of 2025 at that price point. Maybe not, but I could get, there's a ton, and that's just this year. Like there's tons of knives from a couple of years ago that I think are just way better deals and are still not, priced like that. So I don't know how much of the tariff thing is going into WE's price increases. I feel like they were pricing things up before that happened. So I'm just not really sure. I don't think $344 makes sense for this knife. If you like it and you decide to buy it, it's a well-made knife. Honestly, it's got some pretty utilitarian features. It's cool. I think you'll be happy with it. If you can choke down the price tag, I don't think you're going to be unhappy about anything else. But if you're wondering, do you think that it's worth the money, like is over all the other competition? No, I think you should look around. There's lots and lots and lots of incredible things. So that's it. This knife will end up as a giveaway item on one of my live streams. It's still very nice and very, very cool. Thanks again to WE Knives for sending it in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.